Have you ever wondered about the idea of a final, ultimate day of reckoning? A moment where everything just stops and there's a final accounting for all of history? Well, today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about events in Christian theology, the study of, the end times.
So, what is this final judgment really supposed to look like? Who's going to be there? And the big question, what actually determines the outcome? These are the kinds of questions we're going to tackle, using the ancient texts as our guide.
All right, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to do two things. First, we need to figure out what exactly we're talking about, and then we've got to see where it fits on the grand timeline of prophetic events. Context is key.
So this name, the Great White Throne Judgment, it comes straight from the book of Revelation. And it's described as the final judgment. This is it, the ultimate verdict, the end of the line, no appeals. This isn't just a judgment. It's presented as the absolute conclusion to the human story.
And like I said, context is everything. According to this theological timeline, the Great White Throne Judgment doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's set to happen after a whole bunch of other major events. After a time of massive global distress called the Tribulation, after a 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth, and even after Satan's final ultimate defeat. It is, quite literally, the last thing on the schedule.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of this. If this is a judgment, like a trial, what's the evidence? Well, the text describes this really fascinating and super detailed process that involves a set of books.
So first, you've got these books of deeds. Just imagine, for a second, a perfect, unchangeable record where every single detail of a life is written down. The text suggests that everything, every single action you take, every word you say, even your most hidden thoughts, it's all there. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing gets missed. This becomes the complete, comprehensive evidence of a person's life.
But then there's another book, a singular, totally separate one called the Book of Life. And this right here is central to the whole idea. While those other books record what a person has done, the Book of Life seems to be about who a person is, and specifically their connection to God. And its role in this whole process is, absolutely decisive.
And this quote from Revelation really makes the stakes crystal clear. The final deciding factor isn't some cosmic scale weighing your good deeds against your bad ones. Nope, it all comes down to one thing. Is your name in this book? The consequence for not being in it is spelled out, and it is stark.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. While the text seems pretty clear on the what and the how, there's actually a pretty big debate among theologians about the who, as in who exactly is standing in front of this great white throne.
The disagreement really boils down to two main camps. One school of thought says that the scriptures actually talk about three totally separate judgments for different groups of people at different times. But another perspective argues that no, the great white throne is one massive, final judgment for every single person who has ever lived, believer or not.
So let's look at that first view for a second, the three judgments idea. In this model, things are kind of separated out. There's a judgment for nations, there's another one just for believers, which is all about getting rewards for their life of service, not about punishment. So in this view, the Great White Throne is reserved only for unbelievers as a final sentencing.
So yeah, scholars can debate the exact timing and who's in what line, but it's really important to see where everyone comes together, because both of these interpretations share a set of core ideas, and that's the real bottom line here.
So check this out. The crucial point is, no matter which model you look at, these things stay the same. Jesus Christ is the judge. Every single person will face a final accounting. For unbelievers, that accounting based on their deeds results in punishment. For believers, their judgment is about rewards, because their salvation is already a done deal. Their name is in the Book of Life. So, accountability is universal, but the reason for the judgment and the outcome are totally different.
And that kind of leaves us with a final, pretty heavy thought. Whether you see this as a literal event in the future or as a powerful metaphor, how does this idea of a complete personal accounting, where every single thought and deed is known, affect how people live their lives right now? What does it mean to live as if you'll one day have to explain your entire life? That's a pretty profound question to chew on.